Shabbat Shalom, everybody. So again, I'm continuing to read the newsletters from the website Sightedmoon.com. You can see that. But so it's the most recent newsletter, newsletter number 48. And as you can see in the title, it's year 5855. And it is the 12th month of the biblical calendar and the 13th day of said month. February 8th, 2020. So this is like a day in advance. Shabbat Shalom to the royal family of Yehovah. They are trying to impeach me on MEWE. I want to advise you all that on Mew, Jan has begun impeachment articles against me. What? She has started a trial on me and the things I'm teaching here. I would like to urge you all to go and join the chat sessions and learn what she is teaching everyone there. Jan was looking for something to do, and I did not know how to employ her in this work, to exploit her talents and promote this work. We had just started Mew due to the things that were happening to us on Facebook. Pauline was running our Facebook page. It was eventually shut down by the word police for us promoting President Trump. Oh yeah, that's right. They're taking down all conservative ads on Facebook for the upcoming election. Jan took on the Mew challenge. Although it started small and slow, and now she is teaching people and pastors around the world about each of the many aspects of the Jubilee cycles. And the numbers are growing. She does this one-on-one so that those who do not understand can ask and then learn. Jan has done and is doing a remarkable job, and I am very proud of what she has accomplished. Jan has done this on top of sorting out all of our articles into topics so you can find everything we wrote about on each topic in one place. She also has helped and contributed to the Scripture Lessons for the Kingdom, Volume 1. A second volume is in the works and is expected to be completed by Passover this year by our mystery writer who wants to remain anonymous. But now Jan has put me on trial and is seeking to impeach me. The trial is still in session and is about a week old. If you have any doubts or questions about many of the aspects of the calendar or the Jubilee cycles, and why the focus on the Philippines and East Africa, then Jan can help you. She also has some good friends who can also respond to your questions and help you to understand in a language that makes sense to you. I check in every once in a while to see if she has found me guilty yet, but the trial is still ongoing. Sign up and join in the conversation. Subheading, God will provide. Go and be blessed. Most people contribute to a pension plan for most of their working careers. Then when they retire, they can begin to collect the money that is built up in that fund. Those who do not contribute to a pension fund of some sort have nothing to pay themselves in their old age when they cannot work. Then they become a burden on their children or on the government. It is sad. It is a sad end to a long and productive life. They just did not plan, or it just did not work out in their plans. I would have said that they just did not they just did not plan, or it just did not plan out. That's what I would have said. But anyhow, Proverbs 6, verses 6 to 11. In 2010, I was coming up from the Gihon Spring, where we had just mixed. Michael Rood and a group had gathered to eat lunch at some tables in the square, and Michael had asked me to join them so we could talk. He was watching me for a while as the conversation went around. During this time, a young Orthodox Jewish man came up, and I had not even noticed him. He was wearing a suit, but you could tell he was sleeping in it on the street. It was dirty and a bit ragged. He was asking for money from people, and when he got to this one lady, he stuck his hand out, and she took his hand and shook it, and then said this to him loud enough for everyone to hear it. "Silver and gold I do not have, but what I have I give you. Be blessed in the name of Jesus Christ of Nazareth." She said this to this Jewish young man. The man then turned and began to walk away. This lady looked at her friends, giggling with the smugness of a mindless Christian, thinking they had just witnessed to some Jew. And she and her friends laughed at her quick thinking. I was pissed at seeing this self-righteous B word. Didn't spell it, just as B and codes, but this self-righteous B mock this young man. I do not think Michael saw what took place as someone was talking to him on the side. I do not think Michael saw what took place as someone was talking to him on the side. This lady had food and drinks in front of her, as did the others on the table, and they could not find any spare change to give this young man. Passover was to begin soon, and they only wanted to mock him and not help him. Here's the verse she butchered to have her fun. It's Acts chapter 3, 1 to 9. And it's Peter saying, verse 6, "Silver and gold have I none, but what I have I give you. In the name of Yeshua HaMashiach of Nazareth, rise up and walk." And taking him by the right hand, he lifted him up. This is a certain man who was lame from his mother's womb. She had not healed the man. She was only mocking him. She insulted his faith in front of all of us that were there, and nobody did anything about it. I got up from my table and went after the man. He walked very fast down the road to the western wall. I had to run to catch up with him. By the time he got to where the lions are, as he began to go down the stairs to the kotel, and apologized to him for the woman. I then gave him what I had with me at that time, maybe 40 shekels, not a lot. Perhaps he prayed for me at the wall that day. When I got back to the group, this lady had left. I was still mad at what she had done. Then Michael saw me come back and decided it was time to sit with me and talk. I have never forgotten the ignorance of this lady who was part of that group. Although she was pretty looking, she was as ugly to me as anyone has ever been. Every time I sit down here to ask you, my brethren, for help with this work, it is inevitable that some stupid person will write to me and say, "God will provide, go and be blessed." After I get a few like this, I get mad because I suspect these people think I'm going to go and say to James, Ike, or Telesphore, "Go and be blessed. God will provide." We all have read the part where Moses asks the Israelites to help build the tabernacle, Exodus 35, verses 4 to 29. Then shortly thereafter, we read how Moses had to stop the people from bringing any more, Exodus 36, verses 1 to 7. James and I joke that it sure would be nice to have this problem just once. James has been telling me the website is crashing and has been getting worse since July last year. Pauline and her husband Chris have been holding it together with bubblegum and twine. James has been MacGyvering it with duct tape and wire. Over the past few weeks, many of you have written to let me know that certain pages were not loading up, and other times you were getting error messages. I would forward those notes to James, but he was fighting his depression battle, so Pauline and Chris would try and fix the problem. With each upgrade that is done to the site, problems arise with plugins that we need to run the site. The plugins are not upgraded at the same time as other upgrades. James then tries to fix those and the other problems that pop up as a result. We have the notice still on the site that this site would be taken down if nothing happened come Shavuot 2020. And that remains there still. I better save all the newsletters. Better save all those newsletters and be wiped off the internet. With all that is happening around the world, and many of you see it, many of you understand the things that are going on, and you can point to the actual scriptures now and say, there it is right there. What happened there? Because you can now do this, that noise. There's a lot of howling going on outside. I mean, there's normally howling, but it's just louder than normal. I guess that's what happens on Shabbat. Okay, where was I? Many of you understand the things that are going on, and you can point to the actual scriptures now and say, there it is right there. Because you can now do this, you can also see what is coming next. Most of you have learned these things at Sightedmoon.com. You have not learned them at other ministries, or you will be following them. No, you learned it here. Even those who strongly disagree with me keep coming back to learn what these world events mean so they can interpret them to their own liking. Sometimes they should just remain silent. Proverbs 17, verse 27 and 28. Last fall, we took out an ad campaign with the NRB, the National Religious Broadcasters of America. They are hosting their large convention this month, and some of the very people we have been trying to reach out to are going to be there. Dr. James Dobson and Mike Huckabee, just so you know. Dr. James Dobson's producers acknowledged they are looking at the books I sent them about the 2300 Days of Hell and the curses in the world right now, but they have not approved me to be on the show. I did follow up our initial letter with a couple of phone calls, and then this week received this very nice rejection letter. February 3, 2020. Dear Mr. Dumont, thank you for contacting the James Dobson Family Institute again. We appreciate your interest in our ministry. Understanding that you desire to have your book considered as the subject of an interview, We thought it might be helpful to relay a bit of additional information. As you may be aware, there are a number of factors that go into identifying prospective content, including topic and timing. Even the program airing calendar is subject to change. The review process can take a while in light of the day-to-day activities requiring the broadcast team members' attention. In addition, even when the staff is interested in highlighting a particular book, and we won't know for some time whether or not that will be the case in this instance, the when of it can remain a question for what may feel like an extended period of time. Consequently, the best suggestion we can offer those who have submitted their material for consideration is to leave the ball in their court, so to speak. When they determine authors' works provide a good match for our needs and decide to proceed, they will follow up with them at that point. Thank you for checking in with us. We're sorry that we are unable to be of more concrete help just now. If we can assist you in any other way, please let us know. Abundant blessings to you. Sincerely, David Harleyson, Office of the President. Also, last fall, we built this large banner to put on display at this convention. We were later turned down from being able to display there, but we kept the ad campaign going in the hopes that it will generate some results. Our results are topping all the other campaigns that the multimedia manager has at this site. So this is good. Although this fall, we sponsored James's trip to Burundi, and that was at the same manner, and we also sent funds to Telus 4 at this same time. It all broke the piggy bank for some time, as I paid for it all up front myself and then recovered the costs from the donations and book sales that came in over the next 4 or 5 months. I must also tell you that Telus 4 has fled Burundi with his family and is now in Canada. The president is trying to become the king of Burundi in order to hold on to power. It is said that a new president will take over with the elections in May. Those elections were supposed to happen last fall, which was why James rushed to get there before the riots began. Edward, our interpreter, has also fled for Kenya. Severine has recovered from his surgery, and although he is from Zambia, has remained in Burundi. Excuse me. So this country is descending into chaos. Excuse me. Did I mention that if they kill the current president, they also tend to do the same to those close to him? For this reason, Telus 4 has removed his family. This fall, along with all of the above, we also sponsored 2 or 3 mission trips that Ike conducted in Mindanao of the Philippines. And each of these has been a great success. Revelation 3, verse 7 to 8. Over the past 3 weeks, I have been negotiating with our multimedia ad people about running another ad campaign and targeting some large Christian groups. We got the ad for a reduced price, and then James wrote me. This same multimedia company also has a deal where we can put our ads in front of every single person who comes to the website for 30 days after they come to our site. We get about 500 to 1,000 to our website each day. More when the world gets crazy, as people want to know what is going on, so they come to Sightedmoon.com to learn. With this ad, I could put our books and teachings in front of these new people for 30 days after they first come to the site. All of this advertising was to cost $9,500 US, but we were able to get it reduced to $7,000. and extended it from 6 months to a year. And we can rotate our ads or add new ones. I was also able to get this stretched out so that it was paid over 4 months' time instead of all up front. Then James writes me at the same time as I close this deal and tells me the site is done. It will cost the following for the company to rebuild it. And then there's a bunch of numbers: hourly rate, basic site, and the e-commerce and donation page. So I won't talk about that too much. So do I close down the site now? 3 months, 3 weeks, and 3 days before Shavuot. Leave, then this is sure, why not? They want me off the internet anyway. Does it make sense to rebuild the site and spend this amount of money? I'll need to shut it down at Shavuot. Not at all. Not if I am wrong. But what if I am right? I, like many of you, believe I may actually be very right. No one else is saying what we are saying, nor are they accurately telling people when these. And as you read in last week's newsletter, there is tons going on in the world right now. Who can keep up on the presumption that we are correct in our understanding? Ike, I, and Pauline, and a number of others have been trying to plan how we are to continue doing this work after Shavuot 2020 from the Philippines. To be a licensed ministry in the Philippines, we believe we need to become an accredited foundation through whom many can sponsor our various activities. As we mentioned, aquaponics and hydroponic farming. We have called it, for now, Jehovah's Kibbutz, a place for people to come and get settled and begin to find their way in the Philippines for the next 10 years. This foundation already has connections in the government, which we will need in order not to be evicted from the country once our visitor visa expires. Ike and I have been developing connections since I first went to the Philippines, and long before I even knew this was the place to go to, because it is one of the places Israel will be brought back from out of the captivity. We have taught this before many times now. In order to set up this foundation, we must have $20,000 US in the bank to start. It's a lot of money. This past year, I've gotten close a couple of times, and then things happen, and we have had to spend those funds on the things, as I have said above. Brethren, I believe what I'm saying about Shavuot 2020 to be true and accurate. In the same way as the shot that rang out around the world began the American Revolution, something's about to happen on Shavuot 2020 that begins the process of the destruction of the USA. It does not happen all at once, but it does begin. Whether or not it takes 1 or 2 years before the USA falls is to be seen. I have no intentions of going to hide, and that is why I want to conduct this ad campaign for the next year. To try and rescue some more people the same way some of you were awakened to these truths. That's kind of why I'm doing this. Think about it. How did you come to know these things? And if they will not come now, then they will have some things to think about while they are in captivity. That is why I want to do this ad campaign. In the Philippines, again, I am not hiding. I want to teach the entire country the Torah, the holy days and Sabbath and the sabbatical years, and help them to understand world events and their role in these end times. Ike already has plans to run me ragged on the radio and TV shows once I get there. The best way to teach them many things is to create a living, working tabernacle replica in which many tourists could come and visit to help support us while we are there. It would train the Filipinos and be an awesome conversational piece while we are there. The cost of this I have not even considered. Pauline and I have been talking about this for a few months, and we are now putting together a draft to present to the authorities in Manila in the hopes of finding a sponsor and possibly having this be a part of the new Pearl Island developments. As you all know, almost all the other ministries out there have you subscribe to them, and once you do, then you are privileged to access their information. We have not done this here at Sightedmoon. We have made all our teachings available and free online. All our videos have been free online. We have sold our books and we have sold DVDs to those who want to have the video at home or so they can give them away. And we never ask for tithes, as that is for the Levites. We are also the only ministry teaching the sabbatical and jubilee years. In fact, Jan, Jolie, and Judith and I are putting together another book mostly from our articles listing all the known sabbatical years so they are all in one place. We are the only ones doing this, no one else is. And as you all know, you can only understand prophecy. Need we, not me, a minimum of $50,000 US to pay for all of this in the next month or so. It's a lot. Since we lost our Sightedmoon.com Facebook page, I've been sending out our teachings each week through my personal page on Facebook and Twitter and LinkedIn. And we get about 500 people going to the site through these means. We have over 1,000 subscribers, and we get about 50% of them who open the newsletter each week. Again, this is better than the average for all ministries. I would that it was higher. So in all, we are getting about 1,000 hits on each newsletter. Then our website gets between 400 and 1,000 hits per day. I also know that about 75% of our readership is over the age of 55, with a total of 50% over 65 and 20% who are over 35. That leaves 5%, well, in the 18 to 35-year-old group, it's a small percentage. This work seems to be held up by the majority of those on a fixed income. I can also tell you that the number who contribute to this work are a whole lot less than those who come to glean our information. We have very few people actively supporting this work. Let me share with you a survey on tithing. I am not asking for tithes, but I just want you all to see what is going on in the USA. Okay, so I was talking about percentage of people tithing in churches. I won't read it. It's just quite a bit there. Now let me get back to the pension plan. Those who invested in it get to have an income from it later. Those who did not contribute will not get to benefit from it later. We are trying to do a work here right now. We're trying to prepare for this work in the very near future in the Philippines. If you are not going to invest in this work now, even though you can see that we are the only ones teaching the sabbatical and jubilee years and how they reveal end time prophecy, and you can also see how the nightly news is exactly what I have been saying it would be since 2005, then what are you going to invest in? No one else is telling you to go to the Philippines. We are. And if you get there and you need help, when I look on our list of those who helped us to do this work, even in the slightest way, will I find your name on the pension plan, those who invested in it? Or will I say what some are going to be told by Yeshua, I don't know who you are? Or maybe I can say to you, like some of you who write to me, say, God will provide, go your way and be blessed. Do you really want me to say that when you need help during the coming trials. Brethren, I need 50,000 in the next couple of months, or the website will fall apart and not work. Then what are you going to do when you need to find out what to do or what has happened? I do not want those who are already carrying this load to lift any more than what you already are. I do want those of you who have not helped us in the past to now start and to do so regularly each month. I've already taken to the bank all the promises that many have given me. The bank manager just laughed at me. He said, "You can't cash a promise," or an "I wanted to, but." Set up a regular monthly donation after Sabbath and keep it going for the foreseeable future. If you do not want to do PayPal, then send a check or money order, one for each of the next 12 months. My bank manager will take those and deposit them, but the promises he gives back to me, I'm looking for 500 people to step up and give $100 for the next 12 months. Well, it's quite a task. I already know the names of those people who have been supporting this work over the years, each and every month. I know their names and I pray over them. Will I be adding your name to that list? Matthew 25, verses 14 to 30. You may not have been blessed with a ministry at this time. You may not have opportunities to teach many people, if any at all. You may only have one talent, in that you understand these things. Now, what do you do with the knowledge you have? Let me suggest you join with us in supporting this work so that we can reach others through the website, public speaking, our books and videos, as well as people telling others about us. We are doing a work and we want to do more and then more again after that. You can join us in this work and share in the rewards that come from doing this. If that one talent was put with the guy who had 5, then they would have 12 in return. And both would have been blessed by our master. Don't just throw your arms in the air and walk away. Join with us. You know as well as we do that these are the last days. Join with us and together let's do great work while we still can. Okay, I'm going to take a little break. Just wash my hands. I'll be right back. Okay. Thank you for waiting. All right, new heading. Passover could very well be early this year. Although we are talking this week about adding a 13th month this year, I have just gotten a post from Becca Biderman. This is her post. Things just became slightly exciting. Leda, my friend in Jelam, just verified for me that the almond trees are blooming in natural settings in a few locations outside of the city. And so I checked my tree again in the garden and found this. Lots of tiny buds and one open bloom on the top. As I said, things change so quickly this time of year. However, no anemones have been seen yet. Another interesting year is knocking at the door. There's a picture. The Boudin's flocks in Be'eri forest are still big with pregnancies. But if we get 12 months this year, those mamas will have babies in a few weeks. It looks like we have anemones in Be'eri. Woohoo! It's gonna be close, but it's looking possible to have a 12-month year. We have to wait on the barley to be Aviv, but anemones and almond blooms usually happen a month before the barley is Aviv. Just like the almonds I had just checked, and pitom, Hebrew for suddenly, anemones are there. I tried to get down there today, but had a low tire this morning. I needed to see about. I'm heading there early in the morning to get back before Shabbat. Then we have almonds on one day and anemones the next. Super exciting to see what's going to happen. Here are some more of those photos from Be'eri, which is in the northern Negev, with barley grass. You can see that the barley is still in a very immature state of development. I'll be checking a little further south as well, specifically where the barley was found to be Aviv in 2008. The location of the photo I use for this group, the rain has been super sparse down in that area. If the barley is going to be in a more advanced stage of development, it will probably be down toward Besor. You can tell those poppies are just now starting to show up. When they get going, they will look like a red carpet. This Jewish cowboy likes his hat. LOL. Thank you, Abba, for providing us such good photos. Adar Bait, do we or don't we? It's a new subheading. These are vegan gummies. Last year, there was another huge controversy about the barley being Aviv, either at the beginning of the first month or whether it was to be Aviv by the wave sheaf day. Many of our friends chose to have the barley reading by the end of the 12th month, or choose to have the barley reading by the end of the 12th month. Then there are those of us who chose the latter, that is, that the barley has to be ripe by wave sheaf day. It is my belief that the only reason we look for the barley to be Aviv is so that we can make the wave sheaf offering. Last year, we had many reports that the barley was indeed ripe on wave sheaf day last year. Excuse me. And this caused a split amongst those of us who go by the crescent moon to begin the month, and it grieves all of us when this happens. We have now begun the 12th month. Will the barley be Aviv in 6 weeks' time from now? I have not heard any reports from the land at this time, so I do not know for sure. I'm very confident that we will be adding a 13th month this year. You will hear people talking about the barley being in various stages. Look at the chart below. If the barley is in the clear liquid to doughy stage, then you know that in about 21 days' time, the barley will be ripe enough to be roasted or caramelized. Leviticus chapter 2, verses 1 to 16. And then there's a chart here showing the different growth stages of the cereal. Note what stage the barley is when you are told that it is in the boot. See the chart above. Take note of the condition of the food offering. It has to be made into fine flour, or it can be roasted by fire. If you harvest the barley when it is in the milk stage, then when you roast it to get the water out, there is no grain. There's no grain there from which you can make flour. If it is in the dough stage, you can then roast it and caramelize it to make that to make your offering. To make your offering, or have it become dry enough that you can make it into fine flour for an unleavened cake offering. Whether or not the barley is ripe at the end of the 12th month, it does not matter. You are not preparing the offering at the end of the 12th month. You prepare it after the Shabbat, after the sun has set on wave sheaf day in the nighttime. Depending on when wave sheaf day falls, you have between 14 and 21 days for the barley to grow and mature from the end of the 12th month. Hmm. If the barley is not going to be ripe enough by wave sheaf day, then Adar Beit is declared. That is the second month of Adar, or 13th month, so that the barley has 30 more days to develop. The history of the 19-year Metonic cycle. Gonna be more comfortable, I think. Hope I can recline. Is that possible? The history, okay. With Adar Beit being added this year, many are again saying they cannot find it in the Bible. So they are not going to keep an Adar Beit. Adar Beit means 13th month, or second Adar. Where do we get this notion from? Well, we are about to explain to you where your Bible shows you there is a 13th month. Before I do, I want to who say they will not keep it because they cannot find it in the Bible. Some people, many people, speak before they ever turn their brains on. Just stop and think for just a second. If you do not add a 13th month every so often, then you would be keeping Passover in various months each year. The same for Sukkot and all the feasts. You may not believe me, but then look at Ramadan. The Muslim calendar does not have an extra month added to it periodically, and because of that, Ramadan moves from year to year. Every year, the world's 1.7 billion Muslims, roughly a quarter of the global population, celebrate the Islamic holy month of Ramadan, a time for fasting and extra piety to cleanse the soul and come closer to God. Ramadan is a major global event, but just when exactly it begins is a matter of some debate. The month-long holiday is observed principally in Muslim-majority countries in Africa and Asia, but also by the believers around the world, including the roughly 3.3 million Muslims living in the United States. During Ramadan, from sunrise to sunset, observant Muslims, with some exceptions mostly health-related, are forbidden to eat or drink, or smoke, or engage in sexual activity, to purify their thoughts and increase their devotion to God. One of the 5 pillars of Islam, Ramadan is the month during which Allah is said to have revealed the first verses of the Quran, the Islamic holy book, to the Prophet, to the Prophet Muhammad. At sunset each day, the faithful are permitted to break their fast with a meal called iftar, thus ending what can be a grueling stretch of hours without food and water, especially when Ramadan falls during the long days of summer, as it does some years. Ramadan comes at a different time every year because it is the 9th month of the Islamic calendar, a date-keeping system based on lunar cycles, unlike the Gregorian calendar, the one used by most of the world, including the US, which is based on the solar year. A new month begins with the appearance of the new moon, or the crescent moon, and ends with the next appearance of a new moon. The month of Ramadan thus moves backwards about 10 days every year relative to the Gregorian calendar. Oh, excuse me. Almost done, actually. This is like a normal newsletter. Abraham was the father of Ishmael and Isaac. Isaac was the father of Esau, as well as Jacob. They would have been taught about sighting the crescent moon to begin the month, and down through the ages, this way of beginning the month has continued on both sides of Abraham's family. It was Jacob's descendants who were told that when the barley was aviv, that they were to begin the year. Just gonna recline a bit. Maybe I'll just lie down. Alrighty, where am I now? There begins the year. Okay, Exodus 12 and verse 2. Alright, I'm gonna get a little comfortable. Move that out of the way. Okay, this is the month of Passover. Let's hope I don't fall asleep. This is the month of Passover, when the barley was ripening. This month, I believe, the barley will not be ripe enough to make a wave offering. Just trying to do this. Okay, this month, I believe the barley will not be ripe enough to make a wave offering, so we will add a 13th month. Maybe it's too loud. I'll just let it dangle. The barley will not be ripe enough to make a wave offering, so we will add a 13th month. Some did this last year. Both the descendants of Ishmael and Esau, as well as Jacob, have 354-day year. Have a 354-day year. When you count the days in those 12 months, and as it says above, this set them back 10 days. I think it is 11 actually each year. That is why Ramadan is never at the same time each year. With the solar year being 365 days and the lunar year being 354, there is 11 days difference each year. After about 3 years, an extra 29-day month is added. This then makes up for those 3 times when you missed 10 or 11 days. Yeah, falling asleep now. Now fast forward to the time after the temple is destroyed. The remaining Jews are now being hounded and persecuted for searching for barley and sighting the moon and setting signal fires to let those in the diaspora know when the holy days would be. It was during this time that Hillel formed the calculated calendar, but it was not uniformly used until Rambam instituted it at the end of the 12th century. I'm going to set up, falling asleep. Where am I now? 12th century, yeah. Not everyone did the same thing for 900 years until Rambam instituted it for all Jews everywhere. Read this and get some history on this subject before we go on. Hillel II, Hillel the Nasi, also known simply as Hillel, held the office of Nasi of the ancient Jewish Sanhedrin between 320 and 385 Common Era. He was the son and successor of Judah III. He was a Jewish communal and religious authority, circa 350 to 365 CE. He is sometimes confused with Hillel the Elder, as the Talmud sometimes simply uses the name Hillel. In 2 instances, his name is quoted in connection with important decisions in Jewish law. In one, Jose ben Abin expounds to him a law. In the other, Hillel cites a Mishnah to establish a law. He is traditionally regarded as the creator of the modern fixed Hebrew calendar. It first appears in a responsum of R. Hai Gaon, early 11th century, cited by R. Abraham Bar Hia in his Sefer Haibur, written in 1123. The topic of that responsum is the 19-year cycle for leap year intercalations. So the most that can be inferred from that attribution is that Hillel was responsible for the adoption of that cycle, for the regulation of the distribution of leap years. I know this sounds like a lot of jargon, but I'll try to read it a little bit more enthusiastically. Actually, there is in fact much more that can be inferred from the citation. The citation explicitly refers to the year that this event happened, 670 of the Seleucid era, which corresponds to 358 or 359 CE. The molad of Tishrei for that year, 4119, would be Saturday, 23 hours and 233 parts. Under the Gregorian calendar, this would be Saturday, September 20th, 0358, 1712. Rosh Hashanah would have begun Friday evening, but not before, according to lunar science. A very bright old moon will rise Friday morning at 4:11 a.m., an hour and 34 minutes before sunrise. The significance of this can be found in the Talmud Rosh Hashanah 2.5a. Scholars who have studied the history of the Hebrew calendar are in general agreement, and there is much evidence for this in the Talmud itself and in other rabbinic sources, that in practice, the evolution of the calendar into its present form was a gradual process spanning several centuries from the 1st to about the 8th or 9th century CE. The champion of the view that the calendar was developed in the 8th or 9th century CE is Sacha Stern. This quote is from page 184 to 185 of his book, Calendar and Community. Of far greater importance, however, is a much later document from the Cairo Geniza, a letter of a Babylon exilarch, one of the main leaders of the Rabbinite community, with detailed calendrical instructions for the year 835 or 6 CE. The letter reveals that Passover, 15 of the 1st Nisan, in that year was due to occur on a Tuesday, whilst according to the present-day rabbinic calendar, it should have occurred on Thursday. Oh, that's an interesting point. Passover